Gustoso. Yes. Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer, Attorney Clarissa Castro. Assistant Secretary for Administration and Finance and GOCC's Attorney Ronadale Zapata. Assistant Secretary for Television and Radio, Jose Maria Villarama II. Assistant Secretary for Digital Media and Communications, Patricia Cale Martin. Assistant Secretary for Media Affairs and Relations, Rowena Otida. Assistant Secretary for Asset Management and Communications, for Disaster Preparedness and Response, Faith Digia. And the Bureau Heads of the Bureau of Broadcast Services, Fernando Sanga. Bureau of Communication Service, Arlene Barrientos. National Printing Office, Attorney Ruth Maureen Rillion. News and Information Bureau, Jericho Paloma. Philippine Information Agency, Catherine Cluy de Castro. Presidential Broadcast Radio TV Malacanang, Franz Gerald Imperial, also an Undersecretary. And from the People's Television Network, Maria Lourdes Choa Pagar. From the Intercontinental Broadcasting Corporation, IBC 13, Jose Policarpio Jr. And from the Apo Production Unit, Attorney Hill Carlos R. Puyat. May we also acknowledge the presence of the following members. Deputy Minority Leader Antonio Tino, Deputy Majority Leader Maria Bernadette Escudero, Deputy Majority Leader Julian Jam Baronda, Deputy Minority Leader Jesus Manuel Bong Suntay, Vice Chairs Roger Mercado, Vice Chairs Alexandra Gonzalez, Members Representative Antonio Roman III, Representative Paulo Henry Marcoleta, Representative Rene Luis Co, and Representative Terry Ridon. That's all, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Comsec. Thank you so much to our esteemed colleagues and PCO family for being here despite the work suspension. Thank you for staying until, what time is it? It's 6:11 in the evening. So we've been working the whole day since 9:30. And thank you so much. I know the first two committees ran a little bit, the first two agencies ran a little bit long. So thank you so much for your patience and understanding. So not to like lengthen the whole wait, but I would like to quickly deliver like an opening remark. So honorable members of the Committee on Appropriations, distinguished colleagues, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I am pleased to welcome our newly appointed Secretary, Honorable Dave Gomez, and the entire Presidential Communications Office family to today's budget briefing for fiscal year 2026, where we will deliberate on the proposed 2.809 billion allocation for the PCO proper and its attached agencies and corporations. The PCO plays a central role in ensuring transparent, responsible, and credible communication between the government and the Filipino people, with a focus on combating fake news, addressing disinformation, and promoting media literacy on the key priorities under the President's 8-point socioeconomic agenda and the Philippine Development Plan from 2023 to 2028, pursuant to Executive Order Number 14, Series of 2023. In 2024, the PCO launched key initiatives against misinformation, including the Media and Information Literacy Campaign, the deployment of fact-check officers in state media, and the adoption of the UK GCSI grid system for crisis communication. These laid the groundwork for a more informed public and fact-based discourse. As Secretary Dave Gomez assumes leadership, this committee seeks assurance that he will sustain and build on these reforms. As we assess the FY 2026 budget of the PCO, the committee appreciates a presentation that will help its members understand how the previous budget was utilized and how the proposed allocation for 2026 supports the office in strengthening public trust, combating misinformation, and keeping the public well informed. Thank you. And before I recognize the Honorable Secretary Dave Gomez to deliver the presentation to the committee, I would first like to acknowledge the presence of the Vice Chairperson of the Committee on Appropriations, who will be sponsoring the budget of the Presidential Communications Office. I would like to recognize the Honorable Representative Alexandria Gonzalez.
It is my honor to be assigned the Presidential Communications Office, myself belonging to the media 26 years ago. I fully understand the importance of bringing awareness to the different programs available from the government, which is essentially the hard work of the administration, the hard work of the president, so that the public will have knowledge of the ready help from the government that they can utilize to help and to better their lives. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Representative Gonzalez. I would now like to give the floor to the Honorable Secretary Dave Gomez to deliver the presentation to the committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Honorable Chairperson and distinguished members of the House of Representatives and the Committee on Appropriations, good evening. Thank you. In behalf of the PCO family, we'd like to thank you for this opportunity to present our proposed 2026 Presidential Communications Office budget for fiscal year 2026. Under the strengthened mandate of Executive Order number 16, series of 2023, the PCO continues to serve as the primary communications arm of the Executive Department and the Office of the President, ensuring that government programs, policies, and priorities are clearly communicated truthfully and effectively to the Filipino people. Madam Chair, the budget of the Presidential Communications Office and its attached agencies is a minuscule portion of the entire budget of the national government. It barely constitutes 0.04% of the total proposed budget for 2026. But the PCO faces an enormous task, the task of keeping 116 million Filipinos accurately, properly, and constantly informed not only of what the government is doing for them, but of the numerous issues affecting their lives, their livelihood, their community, their security and well-being, and their freedoms. As I said when I assumed office only last July, a healthy democracy depends on an informed public. Access to information is a cornerstone of accountability and public trust. As acting secretary of the PCO, it is my policy to promote government transparency, safeguard press freedom, and defend every citizen's right to free speech and information. As such, you can expect the PCO to focus on what I call my 3 Ps minus 1, policies, programs of the President minus the politics. We will make sure that the policies and programs of the government are made known, understood, and appreciated by the Filipino people, so that the entire government can earn and keep their trust and confidence. Let me assure the committee that in spending the people's money, PCO will not count every peso, but we will make every peso count. Thank you, Madam Chair, and with your permission, we are ready to present our budget.
Go ahead, please, Secretary Gomez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So for today's presentation, we will begin with the proposed budget under the National Expenditure Program, which will lay down the financial requirements of the PCO for the upcoming fiscal year. After this, we will present the accomplishments of the PCO to ensure and demonstrate to the committee that the budget entrusted to the office has been and continues to be utilized properly, responsibly, and effectively. Following that, we will proceed to the mandate, strategic directions, and program of the PCO for fiscal year 2026. This section will highlight our major programs that support the Marcos administration's governance agenda and further strengthen our role as the primary communications arm of the Office of the President and the Executive Branch. We will then present the organizational structure of the PCO, the summary of our personnel, and the summary of our personnel complement. This is to emphasize that behind the programs and policies are the dedicated men and women of the office, the manpower who are tasked with carrying the PCO's mandate and delivering on its commitment. Ultimately, the budget we are presenting today is not just about figures, it's about enabling us to fulfill our mandate more effectively, ensuring responsible stewardship of public funds, and advancing our shared goal, an informed and empowered citizenry. Next slide, please. We ensure that the proposed budget to be presented here today will be consistent with the figures stated in the 2026 National Expenditure Program submitted by the President and the DBM to Congress last April 13, and that all programs, activities, and projects of the PCO are aligned with the priorities of the administration as embodied in the President's 8-point socioeconomic agenda, updated Philippine Development Plan, and the Budget Priority Framework for 2026. Next slide, please. All in all, the proposed budget of the PCO under fiscal year 2026 NEP, including financial subsidies of our attached government-owned and controlled corporations, amount to 2.808 billion pesos. This proposed budget is designed to strengthen the government's communications capacity at a time when clear, consistent, and transparent messaging is critical to sustain public trust and encouraging active citizen participation. It also supports the expanded functions of the PCO pursuant to Executive Orders number 2 and 11 series of 2022 and Executive Order number 16 series of 2023. In particular, the budget will enable us to ensure comprehensive media coverage of the presidential engagements, advance the citizens' right to access relevant government information, and leverage digital and emerging media platforms and institutionalize modern communications channels and feedback mechanisms. Next slide, please. The PCO's proposed budget for fiscal year 2026 represents only 0.041% of the national expenditure program, less than a fraction of 1% of the entire national budget. In fact, it is the lowest allocation among all department-level entities of government. Yet, despite this very modest share, the expectations placed upon us, the PCO, are broad and significant to inform, to engage, and to sustain government's vital communications link with the Filipino people. This stark imbalance between the magnitude of our mandate and the limited resources at our disposal underscores the extraordinary efficiency, innovation, and creativity required of the PCO to carry out its mission effectively. It also highlights how every peso entrusted to us will translate into a stronger connection between government and citizen, anchored on trust, transparency, and inclusivity. Next slide, please. Getting the lion's share of the proposed budget for next year among the regular national government agencies in the PCO family is the PCO proper, at an amount of 972 million pesos or 38% of the said proposed allocation, followed by the Philippine Information Agency or PIA, which has an allocation of almost 527 million pesos or 21% of the total. This is followed by the Presidential Broadcast Service, Bureau of Broadcast Services, getting the third largest portion with 512 million pesos or 20%. The said agencies have the top three biggest allocations in the PCO family because of the nature of their operations and projects. PCO proper implements the core and major communication strategies of the palace and the executive branch, while the BBS operates various government radio stations nationwide. On the other hand, the PIA is in charge of the developmental communications at the grassroots level. Hence, they maintain regional and provincial offices to perform those functions. The Radio TV Malacanang or RTVM will get 254 million pesos or 10%, followed by the News and Information Bureau and the Bureau of Communications Services with proposed budgets of 163 million or 6% and 99 million pesos or 4% respectively. Lastly, the National Printing Office has a proposed share of about 1% only, as the amount is intended for the 1-month personal services requirement of their plantilla personnel, which can only be used in case its operating budget that is funded by its own revenue will not suffice to cover the same by the end of the year. Next slide, please. For government-owned and controlled corporations attached to the PCO, uh, People's Television Network Incorporated, or more popularly known as PTB4, was allocated a subsidy in the amount of 136 million pesos, which will be utilized for its modernization program. On the other hand, IBC 13 has a proposed allocation of 122 million pesos for financial assistance and subsidy under the 2026 NEP. While the two government-owned and controlled corporations have been allocated government subsidies under fiscal year 2026 NEP, this will not be sufficient to fully cover their operational and developmental requirements. To sustain their day-to-day operations, pursue digitalization and modernization initiatives, and address the necessary improvements in their building and facilities, they will require additional subsidy, unfortunately, or an additional budget that, if the committee will permit, we may propose later. This supplemental funding will ensure that the GOCCs are able to maintain efficient service delivery, upgrade their systems and infrastructure to meet evolving demands, and align with the government's push for innovation and institutional strengthening. Lastly, the APO Production Unit Incorporated operates solely using its corporate earnings and does not receive any subsidy from the government. Moving now to the PCO proper budget. The total proposed budget under the NEP amounts to 972 million pesos. As to the various budget dimensions of the said amount, the succeeding slides will show the breakdown of this proposed allocation. As shown in this table, the PCO budget for fiscal year 2024, if you'll permit me to go back 2 years ago, under the GA amounted to 948 million, while for fiscal year 2025, it was actually reduced, Madam Chair, to just 713 million. For fiscal year 2026, the proposed budget under the NEP is 972 million pesos. This reflects an increase of about 258 million or 36.27% compared to 2025. However, if we compare this at a longer view to 2024, the increase is only 23 million or just 2.4% from 2024. This shows that for fiscal year 2026, our proposed budget is essentially within the same range as our 2024 level. The increase is modest and reasonable when we factor in inflation, rising operational costs, and the expanded functions of the PCO under recent executive orders. In other words, the adjustments does not represent a significant expansion, but rather a catch-up to sustain our mandate effectively. Okay, next slide, please. Breaking down the fiscal year 2026 proposed budget by allotment class, we see the personal service has a slight decrease of 3.16 million pesos or 1.43% compared to 2025. This is due to adjustments in staffing requirements and reflect a stable personnel complement for the PCO. The biggest increase is in maintenance and operating expenses, which rises by 252 million or 52.65%. This reflects the operational demands of the PCO in fulfilling expanded mandate under Executive Orders 2, 11, and 16, particularly in terms of media coverage of presidential engagements, digital communications, and strengthening government messaging and feedback mechanisms. Finally, capital outlay increased by only 9.86 million or 70.37%, while the percentage looks large, the actual amount remains very small. This allocation will go to critical investments in information and communications technology and other essential equipment which are necessary to modernize and keep pace with the evolving communications landscape. Overall, this breakdown shows that the PCO's proposed budget remains lean and focused, with the bulk of the increase directed towards enabling us to carry our operational requirements more effectively. Next slide. Allotment by class: of this total, 3/4 or 75% is allocated to MOOE, reflecting the operational requirements of the agency in carrying out its wide-ranging mandate. Personal services accounts for 22%, providing for the men and women of the office who perform not only communications functions but also administrative, technical, and support services essential to our operations. Meanwhile, only 3% of our proposed budget under the NEP is earmarked for capital outlay, underscoring the very limited resources available for investments in modern information and communications technology and other essential equipment. For personnel services, the proposed allocation of 217 million, 27% of which of the approved budget under the NEP. The bulk of this, or about 211 million, covers the requirements for the 116 filled positions within the PCO. This ensures that our existing plantilla positions are fully supported. We have also allocated 5.44 million for 7 non-permanent positions, which provide additional manpower to support the office's expanding functions. In addition, 679,000 has been set aside for the terminal leave benefit of one mandatory retiree for the fiscal year, and 30,000 pesos for loyalty awards for 4 personnel recognizing their years of dedicated service. The proposed budget for MOOE of 730 million pesos pertains to, number 1, operating requirements for formulation, coordination, and implementation of integrated public information plans and programs, our core operations under the Presidential Communications Program, which is 625 million pesos. And number 2, operating requirements for general administration and support services, which is 104 million pesos. For capital outlay, the PCO has proposed an allocation of 23 million pesos, which is only 3% of our approved budget under the NEP. This amount is intended primarily for our ICT requirements in line with the updated Information Systems Strategic Plan, ISSP, as well as for essential office equipment outlay. The allocation is modest, but it is critical. Investment in modern ICT systems and office equipment will allow the PCO to keep pace with today's fast-evolving communications environment, ensuring that our platforms remain efficient, secure, and responsive to the needs of both government and the public. Now I move on to our accomplishments. We wish to emphasize that the PCO has been consistently achieving its targets. The PCO propers Congress-approved performance indicators, targets, and budget allocation under the GAA are shown on the succeeding slides. These targets are achieved through the synergy and collaboration of various operating offices and units of the PCO proper. Madam Chair, honorable members of the committee, we are honored to report this for the 3rd consecutive year. The Commission on Audit has rendered an unmodified opinion on the PCO's financial statements, most recently for the year ending December 31st, 2024. This underscores our steadfast commitment to transparency and sound financial management. Furthermore, we are also honored to report that for fiscal year 2024 Agency Performance Review, or the Budget ng Bayan Monitor, recently released by the DBM, the PCO attained an average score of 4.76 with a rating of very satisfactory based on both its financial and physical performance. Even more noteworthy, Two of our attached agencies, the News and Information Bureau and the Philippine Information Agency, earned an outstanding rating with a perfect score of 5.0, placing them among the top 14 performing agencies nationwide out of the 308 assessed agencies. We recognize, however, that there remains room for improvement, particularly in areas affected by intervening factors in program implementation, such as procurement bottlenecks and transitional activities related to the change in top leadership. Nevertheless, this results underscores the continued excellence of our operations and strategic delivery of our communication services. May we just note that for the APR rating does not cover the National Printing Office, as for fiscal year 2024, personal services appropriation remained unutilized by year-end, given that its revolving fund was still sufficient to cover its operating requirements. The agency has achieved and exceeded all the targets for its performance indicators under the 2024 General Appropriations Act. For the PCO proper's financial performance, for 2024, 82.92 of the obligated funds under all available appropriations last year were already disbursed or paid. As of December 31st, 2024, more than 86.37% of our released appropriations in 2024 were obligated or utilized. For the current year, we have already obligated 36.14% of our available appropriations as of 15 August 2025, out of which 79.51% have already been paid or disbursed. Here now are the major programs and activities and projects to be funded by our proposed 2026 budget. In line with our mandate as provided under Executive Order Number 16, Series of 2023, the herein budget proposal of the PCO family for fiscal year 2026 primarily aims to support the priorities and policy directions of the Marcos administration related to and in support of the crafting, formulation, development, enhancement, and coordination of the messaging system of the executive branch and the Office of the President, as embodied in the President's 8-point socioeconomic agenda and the updated Philippine Development Plan of years 2023 to year 2028. While the specific budgetary thrust and priorities for the PCO may vary depending on the prevailing socio-economic and political context, the strategic direction set by the PCO management under the current administration to guide the expenditure planning for our yearly operations can be summarized into these 5 main priorities. Number 1, efficient and effective coverage and documentation of presidential events. We will strengthen our coverage of the President's local and international engagements, ensuring timely, accurate, and relevant information reaching our citizenry. This includes maximizing both state media, traditional and digital platforms to bring government closer to the people. Just as important, we view the media not only as channels but as partners in shaping informed public discourse. By working hand in hand with the media, we can ensure truthful and responsive reporting that builds trust and awareness of the President's work. The President's events play a vital role in shaping public opinion, fostering citizen engagement, and promoting government policies and initiatives. Proposing additional resources will enable the PCO to deploy a competent team of news writers, photographers, videographers, and support staff to provide comprehensive coverage of presidential events and engagements. This will facilitate accurate and timely dissemination of information to the public through various media channels, pre-event media briefings, and post-event interviews, including the issuance of press releases, conduct of live broadcasts, posting on social media platforms, and official publications. Second, strengthen transparency and accountability. Transparent and accountable governance is essential for fostering trust and confidence among the citizens. By proposing an additional budget for the management and media coverage of the President's events, PCO can ensure that the public is kept informed about presidential activities, decisions, and engagements. This transparency allows citizens to evaluate government's performance, participate in public discourse through the available tools in various social media assets, and hold elected officials accountable for their actions, ultimately strengthening democratic processes and promoting good governance. PCO's PAPs such as campus caravans, where the media and information literacy program is promoted, are good examples of these efforts. Moreover, the continued implementation of the FOI program, as spearheaded by the PCO, complements the government's efforts in upholding these principles of good governance. Here's the number. Number 4. Next is more aggressive promotion of government programs and policies. We will implement targeted communication campaign to highlight the administration's priority programs and reforms. These campaigns will ensure that policies are not only announced, but are also clearly understood by various sectors of society. By raising public awareness of government initiatives, we promote inclusivity, transparency, and accountability, and because people are better able to engage, respond, and hold government to its promises. Securing adequate budgetary support will enable the PCO to develop comprehensive communication strategies in collaboration with the executive branch that effectively convey the President's vision, priorities, and progress to the public. This will not only create awareness and understanding among citizens, but also earn support and cooperation from various stakeholders, including government agencies, private sector entities, civil society organizations, and international partners. And lastly, we are committed to modernizing and revitalizing our state-owned media entities so that they remain credible, competitive, and responsive to the needs of the public. This includes upgrading facilities, adopting new technologies, and diversifying content formats. By doing so, we can reach broader audiences across regions, making sure that accurate and accessible information is available to every Filipino. Allow me at this point to present the PCO's program under fiscal year 2026 under the National Expenditure Program. The program is at the core of our mandate to serve the primary communications arm of the executive branch, ensuring that government messages are clear, consistent, and accessible to the people. The program primarily focuses on the formulation, coordination, and implementation of integrated public information plans and programs that effectively communicate the priorities, policies, and achievements of the President and the Philippine government. It does not only involve the crafting of messages, but also the careful alignment of communication strategies across agencies to ensure coherence and clarity in how government policies and programs are conveyed to the public. In a time when information is fast-moving and often contested, the program ensures that our citizens receive timely, accurate, and relevant information straight from the government. It is anchored on our sector outcome, which is the people-centered, innovative, clean, efficient, effective, and inclusive delivery of public goods and services. Strategic communication plays a vital role in realizing this outcome. By delivering clear and reliable information, we strengthen transparency and accountability in governance, while ensuring that services and programs are better understood and appreciated by the people they are intended to serve. Communication, therefore, becomes a tool not only for information sharing, but also for enabling citizens to fully benefit from government programs and participate in the democratic process. In line with this, the organizational outcome that we seek to achieve is public access, engagement, and understanding of presidential policies and government programs. This means that we are not only ensuring that information reaches the people, but also that it resonates with them and encourages meaningful dialogue. Through accessibility and inclusive communications, their concerns to take part in nation building, In doing so, the program fosters a deeper appreciation of government initiatives and helps bridge the gap between policy formulation and citizen experience. To realize these outcomes, we are implementing several concrete activities. Among these is the Freedom of Information Program, which upholds transparency by granting citizens greater access to government data and information. We also conduct regular press briefings to provide timely updates and clarifications on presidential directives and government initiatives. To strengthen information literacy, we have launched the Maging Mapanuri program, a series of fact-checking workshops designed to combat disinformation and promote responsible news consumption. We likewise provide various communication workshops and capacity building activities for state media and covering media, enhancing their skills in messaging, crisis communications, and innovative content delivery. The program also undertakes the coverage of presidential engagements, both local and international. In addition, the program supports collaborative projects with other agencies, such as campaigns with the Department of Energy on energy conservation and efficiency, which helps bring national priorities closer to the people. These interagency efforts demonstrate our commitment to a whole-of-government approach to communication, ensuring that important programs in energy, health, education, agriculture, social protection, and other key sectors are clearly communicated and well understood by the public. Ultimately, the Presidential Communications Program positions communications as a bridge between the government and the people, a bridge built on trust, transparency, and accountability. It ensures that the President's policy and administration's development agenda are not only heard, but also understood, embraced, and supported by the citizenry. At this point, Madam Chair, with your permission, we'd like to conclude our presentation. But if the honorable members of the committee have any questions for the attached agencies, the heads of our attached agencies are here to clarify or answer your questions. So I will not proceed anymore to the budget of the attached agencies. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Secretary Gomez. I'm not sure if I missed it during the presentation, but was the budget utilization rate discussed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Was 30.
If you may please present to
that.
us the BUR for 2024 and 2025 thus far.
Okay. Second section. Here. Yes, Madam Chair. For fiscal year 2024, for the period ending December 31st, 2024, more than 86.37% of our released appropriations in 2024 were obligated and utilized, for a utilization rate of 86.37 for fiscal year 2024. For the current year, we have, as of August 2025, a utilization rate of 36.14%, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Secretary Gomez. The 14% deficit, the more or less 14% deficit for the budget utilization rate of 2024, may I know which spend or expense category that is? Or kalat po ba siya? Or majority po ba nung shortfall sa BUR natin ay nasa isang spend category lang po?
Percentage. Madam Chair, just to answer your question, No, it's not in one area alone. I was told it's both in capital outlay and MOE. For the capital outlay expenditure, the reason there was a declared failure of bidding. That's why we were not able to proceed with the capital outlay allocation.
What is the plan for that particular failed bidding? Is that requested again? Was that requested again in 2025?
Madam Chair, I was told that the budget was proposed again for the following year, and the failed bidding, they launched another bidding. It's now in the process of finalizing the bids, right? Yeah.
So essentially po yung the amount that was unutilized for year
Were required-
2024 is expected to be utilized in
This year.
2025.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yun lang po siguro because again, VUR is an important metric for us on the part of the Committee on Appropriations to determine budget levels for the following year. So I just wanted to probe a little bit on that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, if you can just permit me to provide a little context on the quite low utilization rate. Part of it is really because of the turnover, the transition of 3 secretaries in 1 year. So I am the 3rd secretary this year. So as you know, when there's a new head of agency, there's new directions, that's why the utilization is quite low. But the team has developed, our finance and administration team, they have developed a catch-up plan so that utilization rate will be consistent with year to date.
We understand that if there's a transition, there's also a reassessment of
Priorities.
allocations and priorities. So if you may please share with the committee, Secretary Gomez, would you be able to share a copy of the catch-up plan?
Yes, we'll do, ma'am. We'll provide, Madam Chair.
Okay. But yeah, I think those are the two main questions on my end. I'll turn it over to Vice Chair Alexandria Gonzalez to manage the interpellations from the rest of the members. Thank you very much, Secretary Gomez.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
The committee invites questions from the members, particularly on the utilization of the previous budget and the proposed allocation for fiscal year 2026. Secretary Dave Gomez and his team are requested to provide the necessary clarifications and to respond directly to the issues at hand to ensure that this committee and the public following this proceeding are fully informed of the anticipated impact of the proposed budget of the PCO. May I remind our distinguished colleagues that each member is allotted 5 minutes for questioning or interpellation, excluding the responses of the resource persons. When you hear the first bell, it indicates that you have 30 seconds left to conclude your questions. The second bell signifies the lapse of your allotted time. In accordance with the long-standing and respected tradition of the House of Representatives to accord preferential treatment to the minority members, followed by the independent and majority members in an alternating manner, the chair now recognizes from the minority, Honorable Paulo Henry Marcoleta from Sagip Party List.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Secretary, looking at the budget of the PCO proper, the fluctuations are rather large. From 493 million in 2023, it reached nearly 90% to 933 million in 2024, only to be cut to 695 million in 2025. And now, the PCO is requesting a 954 million budget for 2026. This rather yo-yo or fluctuating budgeting makes it impossible to track long-term strategies. Could you kindly explain to us what new urgent mandate justified the nearly doubling of your budget in a single year?
Thank you, Your Honor. Madam Chair, and thank you for this opportunity to explain what you have described, Your Honor, as the yo-yo budget. I was informed that the budget in 2024 was significantly reduced because of the low utilization rate in 2024. Unfortunately, the budget went down after that. But based on the 2025 budget, what we are proposing right now for 2026 is really more aligned to the 2024 level and consistent with the programs that we have initiated in 2024. Plus, not to mention the fact that we are looking at a very important year for this administration next year. We are facing we are about to host the ASEAN next year, and this will require a lot of communications support from our agency and our attached agencies, and just restoring it to about the level of 2024 will enable us to cope with the responsibilities and the tasks ahead of us in 2026.
Just a follow-up question. The bulk of the increase was in PCO's maintenance and other operating expenses, which grew to 689 million. Meanwhile, PCO's 2026 performance targets for 2026, such as disseminating 3,350 new news releases, are identical to PCO's 2024 targets, despite requesting an even higher operations budget. How can PCO justify a higher budget when PCO's own targets remain stagnant? Is the PCO simply asking for more money to do the same amount of work?
Thank you, Your Honor. Again, thank you for allowing us to clarify that point. We are already we've made representations already with the DBM to revise this target to accurately reflect the levels as stated in the MOE. So we are now in the process of revising those targets, increasing those targets, and coming to an agreement with the DBM on this one.
Thank you for that answer. My last question. Nakalagay po sa mandato ng PCO na ang Presidential Communications Office ang magsisilbing primary communications arm ng gobyerno. At isa sa mga pangunahing trabaho ninyo ay ilathala ang mga magagandang achievements ng ating pamahalaan. While looking at your Facebook account, wala akong masyadong makita na notable achievements sa PCO Facebook page. Ang nakikita ko lang recently, yung mga inspection ng ating Pangulo sa mga faulty flood control projects. I don't know if it's that an achievement in itself. Nakita ko rin yung libreng sakay program. I think that's quite an achievement. Pero wala akong makitang malakihan o noteworthy or notable flagship project ng ating sa ngayon. Wala akong makita. And meron din kasi akong kakilala sa PCSO. Hindi naman ganun kakilala pero nakakapagkwento rin siya. Sabi niya, we hire reactors. Ang trabaho ng reactors, 100 or 200 or so reactors. Ang trabaho po nila ay magbigay ng positive reaction sa mga posts ninyo, magbigay ng positibong comment sa mga posts. Yun po ang trabaho. Aside from maintaining around 76 vloggers. Is that correct?
Your Honor, if I may clarify, you mentioned PCSO or PCO?
PCO, I'm sorry.
PCO.
Meron daw kayong maintain na 200 reactors and 76 or so vloggers.
To that point, to that point, Your Honor, we don't maintain reactors and bloggers. We have organic supporters of the president who comments on our posts, but we don't retain any of those bloggers or reactors, as you may put it. Those are organic, real people commenting on our posts, commending the activities, the programs of the president, and they are by no means employed by us.
Taliwas po ang aking impormasyon na natanggap. Ito po ay binabayaran itong mga reactors natin ng 7,000 a month para magbigay ng magandang komento at magbigay ng magandang react. Siguro heart or like para po maganda ang traction ng ating mga posts. Kung sa tingin niyo po, Mr. Secretary, ito po ay organic, bakit po natin sila kailangan bayaran? Hindi po ba? Meron pa silang allowance sa load. Bukod po sa kanilang sweldo.
Opo, with all due respect, Your Honor, hindi po namin sila binabayaran, and we can check that in the line item po of our budget. Wala po kaming binabayaran na gano'n. As I said, and I will reiterate, these are organic, real people who supports the president and comments positively on the activities and programs of the president on our official channels, official platforms in social media. So wala po yun sa line item ng budget namin, Your Honor.
Kung wala po kayong binabayaran, ano po ang komposisyon ng mga job orders po at COSs na binabayaran nyo that comprises most of the personnel services?
Yes, Your Honor. For the JOs and the COS, their roles and responsibilities are clearly defined in the contracts that they signed, and we will be more than honored to furnish the committee with the JOs and the COS contracts if required, Your Honor.
Ma'am, how much time am I given left? Opo. Ito na lang po. As a way forward, Madam Chairperson, Mr. Secretary, may I kindly ask for the committee to direct the PCO in submitting to the Secretariat and my office within 5 working days the following documents: traveling expenses, a list of all foreign and local trips, their purpose, duration, cost, and the personnel who traveled, professional services, the names of all consultants, their terms of reference, their fees, and their specific outputs of deliverables. Advertising expenses, a list of all placements, boostings, the media outlets paid, and the cost of each campaign. And representation expenses, a detailed accounting on how the 41 million for 2024 was spent. Mr. Secretary, considering the similarity, just a manifestation, quick manifestation, other than the requirement that I gave them.
Before we move to the manifestation, just wanted to check in, Secretary Gomez, would you be comfortable providing those information within 5 working days as requested by Representative Marcoleta?
We will comply, Your Honor. Makakaasaw po kayo.
Opo. Ito naman po ay tanong, ano ko lang naman, pakiwari ko lang. Hindi po ba mas madaling depensahan ng administrasyon kung ito ay maraming mga notable achievements? Mas madali siyang depensahan kaysa depensahan yung mga or labanan yung mga kritiko ng gobyerno. Kasi ang nakikita ko po, parang din, siguro, napansin ko rin kasi si Yusek Claire Castro, pag siya po ay nagsasalita, lagi siyang on the defensive tone. Sa akin, rather than showcasing the landmark achievements of this administration, the PCO is reduced to just defending the administration from the harsh critics. Hindi po ba mas magandang kung gagawa tayo ng maganda para sa ating bansa? Tulad ng sinabi nyo, Secretary Dave, mas maging organic ang mga taong dedepensa sa ating Pangulo at sa ating pamahalaan kung gagalingan natin ang ating pagganap ng ating tungkulin sa sa ating gobyerno. So, sana naman po, bukas o mamaya, wala akong matanggap na PCO-sponsored attack. Dahil inaasahan ko na to. Kaya lang, mag-iingat lang po ang mga kinaukulan dahil baka kayo ay liable din sa cyber libel. So, pag-aralan nyo rin po. Yun lamang po. Sana mag-focus po kayo sa paglalahad ng mga notable achievements ng ating administrasyon rather than resulting to or resorting to attacks from our critics. Mas maganda yun na taong bayan na mismo ang dumedepensa sa ating Pangulo. Yung lamang po. Maraming salamat.
Madam Chair, if I may respond to the manifestation, thank you, Madam Chair. I would just like to assure Your Honor that as I pointed out earlier, when I assumed this role 6 weeks ago, that I am committed to what I call my 3 Ps minus 1. I am here to communicate and socialize only the programs and policies of the President minus the politics. And that will continue to be the focus of while I continue to hold this role in the administration. Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Thank you, Secretary Gomez. The committee now recognizes Representative Antonino Roman III for his interpellation.
Maraming salamat, Madam Chair. Buong-buo ang pangalan ko. Tony na lang, Tony Roman. Just to put things in context, the context for my next line of questions to the Secretary. We are living in an era where disinformation spreads faster than verified facts. Under this context, information is both a critical currency of power and a public good. The way the PCO allocates its budget will determine whether Filipinos are empowered with truth or left vulnerable to manipulation. Given this, how does your proposed budget ensure that ordinary Filipinos are fisher folk, farmers, OFWs, and people in remote and disadvantaged areas, not just those in urban centers, gain access to timely, accurate, and relevant information that empowers them to make decisions about their lives and futures?
Thank you, Your Honor. The PCO, as described earlier, is composed of several attached agencies, and a number of our attached agencies are actually present down to the countryside. My role when I assumed this position was to synergize all the efforts of the various agencies, make sure that the messaging is consistent, and make sure that the tone across all the platforms are consistent. So I'm talking about here the Philippine Information Agency, which has regional and provincial presence. We have the Bureau of Broadcast. We have radio stations nationwide. We have PTV4 and IBC 13, who are nationwide in reach, but to me the priority is to synchronize the messaging and make it uniform, so that people will receive the information on a timely and relevant manner.
Are there people on the ground to? How do you? My question is basically from the point of view of the audience.
Yes.
How then do you know that they are? How do you say this? That your message or that they are responding to, or your message resonates with them?
Yes, and thank you again for the opportunity, Your Honor. I am a believer and I practice data-driven, research-anchored decision-making in communications. We conduct regular and extensive research in terms of our audiences. We profile our audiences, segment our audiences, and conduct message testing that are relevant to particular audiences. And at the end of that cycle, we conduct another research to analyze if our messages are resonating well with the right people. We may have a nationwide messaging narrative, but we also go granular. We look at particular regions and provinces, ano po yung kanilang concern, ano yung gusto nilang marinig sa pamahalaan, ano yung kanilang hinaing at paano magre-responde ang ating pamahalaan. And we try to cater our messages on what the government is actually doing for that particular region and province, while not losing track of our overarching national narrative for the president.
And the research that you do to confirm that or verify that incurs cost.
We have research team in our attached agencies, the PIA, in-house. We have an in-house research. We do regular nationwide polling. We do focus group discussions, and we do even digital quick polling.
How much of your budget is spent for that initiative? Just general.
Can I refer you to the PIA? The research budget for the PIA?
Sir, we actually, when we do our surveys for the communication campaigns for the PIA, we do it mostly online po. So, meron po kaming mga regional offices. We are located in all the 16 regions except for BARM. Pretty soon, will be 17 regional offices na po dahil na po sa NIR. And then we have 78 provincial centers po. So, when it comes to communication research, sa amin po ang PCO in terms po dun sa mga topics na pwedeng idalas po, Bisaya, Ilonggo, meron din po kami Ilocano. So yun po. Yung sa communication research po namin, mandato po talaga yan ng PIA. So pag makikita nyo po yung aming MOOE, lagi po kaming mga communication research. Sometimes we do pre-SONA surveys. Ang pre-SONA survey, sinashare po namin ito sa Presidential Communications Office. Lumalabas po dun sa pre-SONA survey kung ano po yung mga gustong marinig o gustong tugunan ng ating pamahalaan sa mga concerns po sa mga probinsya. In fact po, this September, ilalabas na rin po namin ang results ng aming National Information Survey kung saan malalaman po ng PCO kung anong platform po ang pinaka-epektibo po ang PCO at ang kanyang mga attached agencies. So ito po ay mandato po ng PIA as directed po ng PCO.
Is it, Madam Chair, is it fair to say that research is done in-house? It's not farmed out?
Yes po,
Okay.
PIA po ang gumagawa nito. Kami po ay nag-house to house po sa almost all the provinces po na kasya naman po sa budget po namin. And this will be ready po by September. And with the permission po of the Presidential Communications Office Secretary, we can also share this po with the House of Representatives sa inyo pong lahat para rin alam po ninyo kung ano po yung mga pinaka-epektibong paraan para makarating ang mensahe sa iba't ibang panig ng ating bansa.
That would be big help for Congressman. You mentioned earlier platform. I guess this is directed to Madam Chair, to the Secretary. Given that Filipinos wield much of their information power on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and community radio, how much of your budget is invested in these platforms? So basically, social media po and radio.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Under the PCO main office, we have what we call the digital media services. And if you don't mind, Your Honor, I would like to turn that question to Asik Faith, who's our head of digital media services.
Good evening po. For the social media, actually, Vice Chair, we do not really allocate budget for any types of social media engagement, or like when it comes to probably the only factor that we're allotting budget for in social media are boosting of posts. Like, for example, there are information or new laws passed, and we created materials about that further explains and laymanizes it for the people. Those are the types of posts that we boost. But aside from that, there are no other expenses naman po for the digital media.
And for community radio, yeah, how much of the budget is allocated for radio?
I'm Fernando Isanga, also known as Dindo Amparo when I used to be with ABS-CBN. And I now head the Presidential Broadcast Service, which operates the 35 radio stations nationwide. And for your question, sir, we allocate a big portion of our budget in operations so that we could lead with digital initiatives. We are now implementing the digital first strategy with radio. And as far as we're concerned, we do not do the traditional radio operations anymore, but we have expanded the role of our operations, of our radio people. So now they do not just do radio, but they do a lot of digital work. So that includes a portion of our budget being allocated to equipment to improve our capability in digital first. And also we allot portion of our budget for the training of our people. So we do a lot of continuous training so that they will learn the ropes of the digital first strategy, because it's been alarming already that if we will maintain the old operations of radio, we cannot be able to catch up with a growing trend of digital technology. And now the audience is not just with radio and TV, but a lot of our audience now is with digital. So we will have to realign most of our budgets with the operations in digital, which include the enhancement of the skills of our radio people.
And for that reason, sir, since you need to train and purchase the equipment, need to basically modernize your service, there was a corresponding increase in the budget for radio.
Yes, sir. That's included in our ICT budget. In fact, in 2025, we already started modernizing some of our equipment, and these are the most efficient way of doing the digital technology. We do the Mojo for our reporters. Our radio reporters now are capable of delivering digital content, not just in digital, but also in television by just using our the small digital equipment. Now they use the iPhones for shooting and editing their content, and also for delivering the content in the other platforms like PTB4 and IBC13. And it's been an effective way of reaching more and more audience. And this way, we were able to gain more awareness with our platforms. In fact, the government radio now is hitting top 5 in the ratings compared to the commercial stations, meaning the messages of our government are reaching more and more people with our adoption of our content strategy with this digital first strategy.
Madam Chair, this question is directed to the Secretary. What effort are you pursuing currently, if any, to address the proliferation of fake news or false information, and how much of the budget is spent for that?
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, we do a significant amount of work in terms of combating fake news and misinformation, from the digital front to coordination with other government agencies for takedown of these fake news sites, no, and we continue to do information campaign against fighting fake news. Now, in terms of the amount allocated for that, I would say for the various program to educate our people against fake news and combating fake news, we only have an allocation of 16 million pesos for this year, right? For this year, and
It doesn't seem a lot. 16 million. So what can you just briefly describe the efforts that you are doing to fight fake news?
yeah, just to be a little bit more specific, Your Honor, when we see something in social media that is obviously fake, and is obviously based on misinformation. We counter that with contents that would clarify the misinformation, correct the misinformation, and or outright dispute that fake news. So it's content versus content. So it doesn't require much budget, Your Honor, but it's really more of maximizing and leveraging all the social media platforms available at our disposal, not only at the PCO main office, but through our attached agencies as well. That brings me back to my earlier point that we need to have synchronized and consistent messaging across all our platforms to drown out or even silence this fake news.
Thank you, Secretary Gomez. Madam Chair, I have questions for IBC, represented by President and CEO Jose Policarpio. President Policarpio, should I call you President Policarpio? I see that the budget here in one of the tabs that you are proposing a 1.2 billion peso budget. And looking at the expenses here, a lot of it is really infrastructure and capital equipment. Did I characterize your proposal correctly?
Good evening, Honorable Madam Chairperson and honorable members of the committee. That's true, Your Honor, because when I came in at IBC in 2023, it was saddled with a lot of liabilities, especially liabilities from former employees who were all paid as of last Monday. Because you only got the last batch last Thursday, and immediately Monday we release all the unclaimed, or rather the unpaid benefits. Lastly, and also, when I came in, there were only 5 provincial stations, because most of the stations were already missing, and there was no record of who got them or where it was. So I have to revitalize them, since most of them are mostly dilapidated condition. Mga analog po and very low in kilowatt, kaya we cannot reach the desired number that we do. That's why I requested in 2024 we presented a digitalization program in line with the government directive to digitalize all operation. And as of now, sir, I'm proud to say that we have 14 from 5, we have 14 digital station. And we need more because, again, we have to retire all the employees, include the present employees, because they're all covered by CBA, covered by separate agreement, which is very expensive to IBC and to the government. To do so, we are saving 89 million a year. So that's the reason why we opted to retire all and reapply. That way, we will not be saddled with so many benefits, because the previous owner, the salaries were low, but the privileges, or rather the benefits, were rather high, including supply of one sack of sugar, 1 sack of rice every month, things like those. And furthermore, most of the employees have not been paid the corresponding increases in the national wage. That's why we have to trace back and update them. Marami pa akong mga kaso pending. From I came in, we had around 65 cases. And we were able, and before me, they were all losing cases. That's why I have to get new lawyers in order to fight them, because most of the labor cases are being lost by Channel 13. Pero ngayon 6 na lang yung natitirang kaso.
You mentioned previous owner. Who was a previous owner?
I'm sorry, sir. Previous owner was Benedicto, but the previous administration,
Okay.
they were not paid. From
Okay.
the time, like for example, from 1998 they have not been paid their retirements, their benefits. It was only to the kind support of Congress, Senate, and the Office of the President in 2024 na bayaran ho natin yung 164 ng kanilang retirement. Pero only last Monday, nabayaran ko naman yung benefits, accompanying benefits like sick leave, vacation leave, medical assistance, things like this. Marami ho yun eh. Pero nabayaran ko no last Monday.
Thank you for the answer. Na, yung personal services po na reflected dito in an amount of 128 million, would part of that or part of it be spent basically to retire?
No, sir, that's a
President?
different one because we requested for 428, which will cover the present employees who are retiring and have not been paid, including with that,
Oh, I
sir,
see.
mababayaran ho namin lahat-lahat.
Yun po yung tinatawag dito yung cost of reorganization.
That's right, sir.
Okay, thank you po. Can you just speak to your vision for IBC 13? And also since assuming office, what were your accomplishments? You mentioned retiring, as addressing yung mga retirement issues and the cases. Ano pa yung vision nyo, yung accomplishments and your plans for IBC 13?
Your Honor, members, Madam Chairperson and members of the committee, I beg for your indulgence. Please allow me to make an audiovisual presentation to have a better appreciation of what was IBC, what is IBC now, what have been done, and what we intend to do. With your permission, Madam Chairperson and ABP, Your Honor. It's roughly 4 minutes, Your
Comsec,
Honor.
please hold the show. We are still trying to deliberate as to whether to allow. How long is the video, Mr.
Madam
President?
Chairperson, it's around 4 minutes.
One second, Comsec will just confer with the Secretariat if we'll allow the 4-minute video. Yes, apo, kasi, sorry po, Mr. President, usually po kasi we give the floor to the agency at the start of it. So this is actually like a different presentation. So with the indulgence of Representative Roman, would it suffice for the President of IBC to just share a copy of the video with you or just submit to the committee a copy of the said AVP?
Yes, Madam Chair, will do that.
Thank you. But just as a response to Representative Roman, if there's maybe an elevator pitch for what the vision of IBC 13 is, that would be very much appreciated, Mr. President.
Your Honor, I mean, Madam Chairperson and members of the committee, honored members of the committee, from the time I assumed, I envisioned Channel 13 to be a C-SPAN type of communication. That's why the first thing I did, Your Honor, was produce PBBM leader ng Bagong Pilipinas. Then we started with it's just a compilation of president activities for the week. Then we also produce Ito ang Kongreso. Ito ang Kongreso highlights all the achievements, all the meetings, all the all the good news about what the activities of Congress. Ang tawag ho namin doon, meron na kami regular host, itong Kongreso. And we also did ito ang Senate at work para makita naman ho kung ano naman ginagawa ng Senado. Then we produced also cabinet at work, featuring each cabinet, each official, its attached agencies para makita ho nila anong ginagawa naman ng mga kabinete. So we're also honored to host Congress TV, which is an everyday program that shows all the activities in Congress para makita naman ng tao kung anong ginagawa ng Kongreso. And we're also using all the footages in combating fake news against Congress, against the government. Because kung meron silang pinipedal na fake news, kumuha kami ng clipping, yun ang sinasagot namin para fake news versus true facts. I think that's the only way one way and the most effective way of combating fake news. So we intend to continue that. We'll be very active on that issue, and with the additional new station that will be put up, we'll be covering roughly 90% of the archipelago, and most of them we will cover all the rural areas already by 2026 with around 18 network, 18 provincial stations.
Representative Roman, would that suffice as a response? In view of the video.
The Congress TV, Your Honor, covers all congressmen, members of Congress. Hindi lang di ko pinipili, di ko kami namimili. Pinakikita ho namin ang ginagawa ng bawat congressman sa mga hearing, sa mga investigation, pati ho sa out of town. We are equipped to do that.
Thank you for the response, and we look forward, the committee looks forward to receiving a copy of the video presentation earlier.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Roman. Thank you, Mr. Policarpio. We now recognize the Deputy Minority Leader, Honorable Antonio L. Tino.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, kanina na-mention yung 2024, ganitong level, 2025 bumaba because of low utilization, tapos medyo bumabalik sa for the 2026 proposed budget. Bumabalik pero may napansin tayo na may iba yung pinaglagyan ng paglaki, no? In particular, we note that in your MOE, PS and MOE, no? Una muna dun sa PS. We note na in the 2024 and 2025 budget, 6 non-permanent positions item. So yan yung mga casual, contractual, etc. 2024, 661,000 pesos ang budget. 2025, 624,000 ang budget. That's for the whole PCO. Sa inyong proposed 2026, magiging 5.447 million. Okay. Also for professional services, from 43.5 million, magiging 73.8 million. Okay, so ito naman yung, pag professional services, ito na ba yung job orders and contract of service? Tama po? Is that correct? So the question is, can you explain the 772% increase in your proposal for non-permanent positions and the almost 70% increase for job order and contract of service? Sino-sino yan? Ilan yan? Etc. Para ano? What is the justification? Ano ang gagawin nila?
Opo, maraming salamat po, Your Honor. With the permission of the Chair, some of the points raised by Your Honor really predates my assumption of this office. So can I just refer your question to our budget officer so he can better enlighten the committee on the question?
Madam Chair.
Good morning, Your Honor. Good evening, Your Honors. Attorney Rufino Moreno, Director for Finance of the Presidential Communications Office. Your Honor, the 7 non-permanent position you noted, Your Honors. These are new positions created by the DBM for us. These are mainly for drivers, contractual, Your Honors. That's why they were, yung paglaki po ng budget from the previous years was that previous years po kasi dalawa lang po ang contractual namin. Nag-retire na po yung isa at isa nag-resign na po. Ngayon po, yung 7 non-permanent positions natin, bagong create po to ng DBM. Ito po ay mga drivers natin, Your Honors.
Okay. Okay, so yung non-permanent positions will be for 7 casual or contractual na driver position.
Yes, Your Honors.
Okay, mabuti naman po hindi sila magiging job order kung hindi casual. Ibig sabihin nun meron silang employer-employee relationship kahit hindi sila permanente. Tama po.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you for enlightening us on that. How about professional services?
For professional services, Your Honor, we note, Your Honor, that medyo mataas nga ho ang aming contract of service. Out of the total field positions po, 232 po ang aming contract of service.
This is 2025.
For 2025 po, Your
Bakit po mahigit almost 70% ang magiging increase nito for 2026?
Your Honor, for 2026,
In terms of the requested budget, from 43.5 magiging 73.8 for job order and contract of service.
yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. Because of the ASEAN, Your Honor, we will be needing more manpower, Your Honors, for the ASEAN, hosting of the ASEAN, Your Honor.
Okay, kanina hiningi yung parang kompletong parang inventaryo ng mga job order and contract of service, the contracts. But that's for the current year. Ako hingin ko na yung for the proposed kasi lalaki po.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
We can submit, Your Honor, the proposed.
Okay, so ang
manpower
sinasabi nyo
complement.
para sa ASEAN ito.
Oh, yes, Your Honor.
At ang trabaho po nila ay mga, yung tinatanong kanina, mga vlogger ba yan? Mga YouTuber?
Hindi po, Your Honor.
Hindi po.
Iba-iba po, Your Honor. May mga writers po tayo.
Ayun.
Mga graphic artists, videographers, photographers.
Okay.
Iba-iba po, Your Honor. But we can submit po, Your
Sige
Honor.
po. Thank you. Ngayon, ang mas malaking pag inilaki ng inyong budget for this year, one, traveling expenses. Again, almost 70% increase from 66.5 million magiging 112.9 million. Ano po ang paliwanag?
Yes, Your Honor. Considering, Your Honor, the ASEAN.
ASEAN, ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
ASEAN.
We will be,
Okay.
we estimate that there will be an increase in local and foreign travel of the
Local.
President, Your Honor. And since
Of the
sumasama-
President?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ibig sabihin, dahil kasama kayo?
Yes po, sumasama
sige.
po ang PCO, Your
Okay.
Honor.
Sige. Okay, yun ang explanation, ASEAN. Baka lahat dito, ASEAN ang sagot, ha?
Hindi po, hindi naman.
Okay. Ang pinakamalaking paglaki, advertising expenses. So, 2025, 4.2 million ang budget for advertising ng PCO. Ang hinihingi nyo for 2026, 252 million. So, that's a 5,800% increase. Ano po, saan po mapupunta yan? O, parang alam ko na sasabihin mo. Ano? Para saan yung advertising?
If I may, Your Honor,
Yes.
because this pertains to the plans for next year, and as correctly pointed out by our budget officer, most of the increases will really go to ASEAN. But at the same time, we're looking at several other important milestones for next year, and that's why we need to advertise not just locally, but in some international outlets as well. If I may be permitted to remind the committee, we are also aspiring to be a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council, and it will require a lot of lobbying, a lot of projecting our country externally on why we deserve to be nominated and elected.
So are you telling me you will be engaging the services of a foreign advertising firm?
No, Your Honor. No,
To-
Your Honor.
Why
we will
is it classified under advertising expenses? Intriga ako kasi this has to do with yung hinahabol na Security Council seat. Is that what you said?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, okay.
We need to produce in-house. We need to produce in-house those marketing content materials that we need to showcase in certain international road shows. And that materials, those materials are really classified under advertising. It's really more of marketing campaign materials.
Marketing campaign, in-house produced.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So, Security Council, ibig sabihin kasama dito yung the human rights record of the Philippine government will be under scrutiny. So, I suppose yun yung mga ilan sa mga sasagutin nyo. Tama po ba? Parang ganon.
Yes, Your Honor. We will follow the directions of the Department of Foreign Affairs in terms of communications here, as well as the Office of the Protocol, Presidential Protocol. So we will defer to them. We will develop the content in coordination with them and amplify the same in coordination
Pwede
with
po
them.
ba, Madam Chair, mabigyan ng breakdown? Kasi napakalaki po ng hinihingi for all of these, in particular advertising, para malaman po natin exactly ano yung saan mapupunta ito.
Your Honor, yes, we will comply.
Okay, thank you. At huling tanong na po, kaugnay sa IBC 13. Actually, tinanong to kanina ni Congressman Roman, pero gusto ko rin marinig. Ilang ulit yung sinasabi na over the years, binayaran na ng gobyerno yung utang ng private, ano ba tawag yun, John? Corporation.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ano ba to? Joint venture? What is the exact nature?
Your Honor, this is a sequestered company
Okay.
from the late Ambassador Benedicto.
Mhm.
And a sequestered company, it fell under PCGG. And unfortunately, during the succeeding period, most of them were not paid anymore because they don't have any funds to rely on. There were no advertiser. Ultimately, the equipment became obsolete. Wala na pong mga palabas na magaganda, nawala na po yung mga outstanding shows ng araw like Todas, like Palibasa Lalaki, nawala na ho lahat yun, wala nang source. Kaya nag-multiply na ho lahat yung mga what was due to the former employees who have since retired up to 2022.
Sinong private corporation po yung may utang sa mga empleyado?
From what I know, sir, wala hong utang yung dating private corporation. But pagdating na ho ng PCGG and everything, mukhang naubos na rin yung mga sources. Kaya nung wala nang pumapasok na pera, nag-multiply na ho lahat yung mga unpaid.
Sino po yung dating private corporation?
The private corporation was IBC under the leadership of Ambassador Benedicto at that time.
May we respectfully remind
Sige, thank you.
the Honorable
Thank
Nino.
you, Madam Chair.
We now recognize the Honorable Nathaniel Oducado for his interpellation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Secretary, and thank you to the whole PCO family. There was actually a good question coming from Representative Tino, because on page 557 of the NEP, I saw that there was a huge increase of your advertising expenses. So in line with that, is this increase also congruent with the ASEAN Master Plan 2, which is also tackling every sector, which and will promote a lot of the ASEAN goals?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is this breakdown fully following the ASEAN Master Plan 2, or do we have a separate approach in promoting our ASEAN goals?
It is aligned, Your Honor, but as we lead up to our hosting of the ASEAN, there are still a lot of working groups that are meeting, and there may be some refocusing of priorities there. But to our estimation, this is the correct level of budget that we will require to effectively provide communication support for our hosting of the ASEAN.
After browsing the ASEAN Master Plan 2, I think it will actually require multiple levels of approach from radio, TV, digital, etc. My next question is, did the budget that you put in place, is it enough to fully realize or to fully appreciate our chairmanship for ASEAN?
Your Honors, please, the overall ASEAN budget, or our budget does not reflect our share in the overall ASEAN budget, which is lodged in the Office of the President, and I believe will be presented separately by the Office of the President as one overall ASEAN budget.
Okay, thank you, Secretary. For the next questions, do we have strategies on how to increase our viewership, readership, or listenership share from all of the attached agencies from the PCO?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you very much for this opportunity. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a big believer of data-driven research powered decision making. All of the strategies of all the agencies will from henceforth be based on what the data is telling us, what the people needs to hear, what they want to hear, and how do we address that, what types of messages would resonate well with them. So all of these are covered by research, as I explained earlier, from profiling our various audiences to segmenting them and doing message testing on what particular message would resonate to a particular audience. Those are the information, those are the data that will guide us in drafting the strategies for the whole PCO and for our attached agencies, with the end in view of synchronizing our narrative, synchronizing our messages to be more effective communicators.
Last question. When it comes to radio, with an overall listenership rate of 9 to 12%, what's the goal and what are the key KPIs of the PCO to achieve it?
Can I refer you to Director Dito?
Thank you, Secretary.
Thank you, Your Honor. Right now, Radio Pilipinas, the flagship radio station in Metro Manila, is now hitting around 10 to 12% in the ratings, and this is the first time really that we have a double-digit rating, and we attribute this to the effective cross-platform strategy that we have with digital, because ever since we started digital operations and in line with our integrated approach, wherein all the social media platforms of the different attached agencies are doing content altogether, it really boosted our listenership, our viewership, and our overall audience approach, or overall content appreciation by our audience. And we really felt that the large audience coming from digital is crossing through the different platforms that we have, both in radio and television. In fact, this year alone, when we started our Facebook page, we are running at about 600,000 followers, and by the end of and right now, about 2 weeks ago, we already hit 1 million followers. And this will really reflect on the kind of appreciation the audience is gaining now. So apart from all these cross-platform strategies that we have, we are doing our other strategies, such as expanding our network, not just locally, but now we are already starting to plan for the creation of our own international news network, which will utilize the different communities of overseas Filipino workers, which will become our bridge for information, so that we can come up with a better strategy of providing them information and also receiving information from their end from the different parts of the country. And this has been already successful. We've seen a lot of successful strategies that utilizes the overseas Filipino workers as bridge of information for our different content strategies, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Congratulations again to Secretary Dave. We're happy to have you at the helm, and it's going to be a heavy year for you next year. So good luck and please do a great job. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Maraming salamat, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Aducado. The committee now recognizes Representative Nico Paul Daza.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To my colleagues who are in attendance, our PCO family, and of course our other guests, maupay nga gabi sa aton nga tanan. I was listening to the discussion during the time of Kong Tony Roman's questions, and I would like to commend the PCO on fighting the good fight against fake news, because as we know, fake news is very pervasive and almost systemic now to social media and all forms of digital communication. However, I heard, correct me if I'm wrong, we respond to fake news only as fake news arises. So for me, this might be quite insufficient. So I want to ask if we follow any specific misinformation or combating misinformation frameworks. Do we follow any specific framework for that? Is there a strategy in place?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Actually, I forgot to mention earlier that PCO fully supports the legislative initiatives of Congress to seek to combat misinformation across all platforms. No, and in terms of the systems in place, we have certain fact checking and verification processes in place. We have our media and information literacy campaign, and the digital governance and unified messaging platforms. So there is a system in place apart from the reactionary approach that we described earlier.
Madam Chair, I'd like to thank the good secretary. Could we expound more on that and how we determine what constitutes as fake news?
Your Honor, before I refer you to our digital media services team, I would just like to reiterate that we do an initial and comprehensive fact-checking at the onset to determine if these are fake news. We also check the sources of the content, if they are coming from curated sources of news or spurious overnight links that just came up, and from there we try to address the fake news. But to add to what I'm saying, Your Honor, may I refer you to our digital
All right. Good evening, Your Honor. So under the Media Information Literacy Campaign, we have several programs that includes workshops, trainings to equip the members of our society in fighting fake news and determining what constitutes as fake news. So for one, we have the MIL fact-checking workshop series, which we conducted with Verifiles. So with this, we strengthened the fact-checking capacity in government media by training 75 fact-check officers from state media outlets across Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. And the initiative actually ensures that state media communicators are equipped with tools and methodologies to detect, verify, and counter disinformation. And on top of that, we also have the training of trainers that we are doing to create the multipliers for MIL education. So by this, we trained educators nationwide, and the program pilot of the MIL module, which is further refined by feedback mechanism. So these educators will later cascade the knowledge to their respective schools, their students, their institutions, to ensure the sustainability and the consistency in teaching media literacy. And also, we have the National Schools Press Conference instance na kung saan ini-embed din namin yung MIL in student journalism. So the concurrent session with school paper advisors provides the practical MIL insights. So we taught them how to mentor student journalists in being responsible when it comes to reporting, ethical fact-checking, and critical use of media. So this ensures that future campus journalists and their advisors become frontline advocates against disinformation. And also we also brought MIL directly to the students during our mall caravans with the DOE. So within this program, we integrated MIL sessions into this DOE mall caravans. So wherein the program taps into the youth audience, and they naturally gather hundreds and hundreds of them in malls to hear and make it relatable for them kung ano ba talaga ang media information literacy. And of course, recently, we also have Usap Tayo Bayan Muna, talakayan kasama si Yusek Claire Castro. So this program fosters a dialogue-driven MIL learning in universities. So through a parang town hall style discussions, with Yusek Claire Castro, students from, let's say, PUP, CEU, and SDI are directly engaged in conversations on truth, responsible media use, and civic responsibility. So those are just few of the programs under MIL, Your Honor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm quite delighted to hear that there's a comprehensive framework, it seems like, and I think most importantly, there's a dialogue between all stakeholders so that we can ensure the proper literacy in establishing or determining what's exactly fake news and what's real. However, I've yet to hear any mention, any key performance indicators or KPIs. How can we evaluate how successful we are in our efforts? Because, as mentioned by the good secretary, I believe we're pouring in 16 million. And perhaps in the grand scheme of things, this may not seem like a large amount, but every piso counts. So if we have no performance metrics to measure how successful our measures are or plans are, this is also a waste of money. So I'd like to hear from the PCO if we do have metrics in place for this.
One of the metrics include, of course, the coverage of kung sino ba yung natatap ng programs namin, the number of students, the number of teachers, and everyone that's involved in the program. But I believe it's more important kung once the surveys come out when it comes to disinformation, how many Filipinos are still vulnerable to it. And from that, we work on kung how much more effort we have to exert when it comes to media information literacy.
Madam Chair, is this a report that we could potentially get from the PCO? Could we be furnished the results of these studies?
Yes, Your Honor, we'll provide the committee. And Your Honor.
Great. Madam Chair, it's great to hear from the good secretary. And I guess in line with this, we also discussed IBC 13. No? Perhaps to play, I guess, devil's advocate in the spirit of journalistic integrity, because I heard from, I believe, director, that hindi po tayo namimili. We try to highlight every congressman, everyone's work. But again, in the spirit of journalistic integrity, how do we ensure that there's independence and neutrality in the content that we push out? Because, of course, not saying that this is what happens, but we avoid ourselves from becoming, for example, a propaganda arm for the government.
Yes, sir. As far as IBC 13 is concerned, sir, we are always in the forefront of, fighting fake news and misinformation. When I said earlier that we try to combat fake news against factual, in Congress TV, any news that tends to malign or to sort of insult the activities of Congress, what we do is we present the actual footages of what's going on in Congress, and this being done by our SOCMED people and reporters, because they're the most qualified to show what is being peddled as fake versus what is being shown on TV during deliberation, during plenary session, and during fact-finding activities, Your Honor.
Madam Chair, to follow up on that, who determines this? Is there a process for how you decide
Your Honor, we do not I mean, all our reporters are tasked to report factual. They are not opinionated. Even if I don't interfere in their news, but they are trained to make sure that their news are factual and none of their personal opinion is embedded in whatever they report. Kaya actual ho lahat ng ano ho nakikita rito sa plenary session, sa mga committee deliberation, nilalabas ho namin ng live. Tapos ho, meron ho kami tinatawag na Congress at Work na sinasummarize naman namin ho every Saturday.
Okay, Madam Chair, that's actually my last question. I would like to thank the PCO family, Secretary Gomez, and all those who spent their time with us today. With that, Madam Chair, I yield my time and the floor. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Assistant Minority Leader Daza. The committee now recognizes Representative, the last interpellator for the second round, for the first round, sorry. For the first round, sorry. We now recognize the Honorable Rufus Rodriguez for his interpellation.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and of course to our Vice Chair and our Chairperson, Mika Swansing over there. And good evening to Secretary Gomez and the officialdom of the Presidential Communications Office. First, I'm glad that our good friend, our colleague, Precious Castello is here. Thank you. We are happy to see you here, back to your home. We're also happy to see my dear cousin, my primo, Jimmy Policarpo. So, you know, we are here because we have the presentation of the budget. And I have read, this was earlier given to us, and I have read the accomplishments and achievements of the PCO, and we are very proud of this office. And so therefore, looking at the budget, we saw, Madam Chair, that there was a very small increase of 381 million pesos. Is that the right amount? 81 million. 381 million. Yes. So may I know first, what was your proposed budget for 2026? And the NEP has only given you 2.5. We know that this difference between your proposal and what the DBM has submitted to this committee.
Your Honor, can we request 1 minute suspension? Is that okay? Thank you, Your Honor.
Committee suspends the hearing. Committee resumes the hearing.
Your Honor, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the 1 minute suspension. Your Honor, to answer your question, the proposal that was sent to the DBM for PCO proper alone was 1.4 billion. And under the NAB, we were allocated 972. now separately the attached agencies submitted their own proposal to the DBM. Unfortunately, I don't have visibility on their original proposal to the DBM. But what we have in front of us right now is the actual NEP approved by the DBM, Your Honor.
Thank you, Secretary. So it is very clear that 500 million was not granted to you because you had 1.4 proposed and you were given only 972. Out
Yes.
of those that were proposed, which are the most the priority items that you wish this committee to study for a possible increase of the Presidential Communications Office proper? Do you have that list or do you have the explanation for
Thank
what
you.
was last, which you feel are very important for the PCO?
Yes, Your Honor. We actually have a table for the additional ask with the permission of the committee and the Appropriations Committee members. For the PCO proper, we identified a total of 415 million pesos in additional funding that we would need for the procurement of additional equipment for content production. This is the team that goes out and covers the activities of the president. Unfortunately, we have some outdated, the fully depreciated equipment sometimes when we go out. And as you may have noticed, the president is actively going out and visiting projects, visiting communities, and we deploy teams in all the activities of the president, and we need some equipment support in that regard, and that only amounts to around 80 million for the entire year. This equipment will also be used again. Sorry to reference the ASEAN, but for coverage in the forthcoming ASEAN hosting. For the other departments, we are happy to share with the committee this list of additional asks, Your Honor. But if I may just point out, most of our capital outlay are really allocated for ICT, or information communications technology. We hardly have any budget for infrastructure repair or facilities improvement, and our state media badly needs infrastructure rehabilitation, especially, again, to reference the ASEAN. We will have state media visitors from other ASEAN countries, and when we show them, sadly, our state media facilities, they are in bad need of repairs and rehabilitation, Your Honor.
Thank you, Secretary. Madam Chair, so you are asking for 80 million for equipment, right, to cover the president?
Equipment
So
for
there's the first
PCO
one,
proper.
80.
Yes,
How
Your Honor.
much will it cost for your digitalization of your services that you just mentioned, so that you will upgrade your digital infrastructure?
Thank you, Your Honor. Actually, the digitalization program is really spread across all the attached agencies of the PCO.
How much would that be?
So, for example, for PTV4, it would cost around 1 billion pesos to purchase additional digital television transmitter to broaden our reach and to digitalize PTV4. For IBC 13, they are requesting for capex digitalization of 300 million. RTVM as well, and the 80 million I mentioned for PCO content production also includes, in part, the digitalization needs. No?
Thank you. Madam Chair, can we request the Secretary to submit to the committee what are the real priorities, the items you feel should be included in 2026 to make you really be able to especially to cover properly our president and also the improved digitalization. So can you submit that? Yes. So offhand, I can see that your proposed budget was reduced by DBM
Yes.
to the amount of 400.
Yes.
About that much probably would be amount, Madam Chair, to be able to restore to the PCO. Thank you. So my next question is to my primo. You will reduce by 963 million. Why is this so?
No, Your
This
Honor,
year, you have 1.1 million, a billion, but then now you only have only 136 million was given.
128 million, Your Honor.
Yes. Why?
But you have to consider that's only for personal services.
This
Because
one?
the personal services, because MOE operations, we need to pay power companies, we have to pay water, we have to pay taxes, local taxes. Because for your information, Honor, we paid all our realty taxes, kaya wala ko kami utang.
Very good. Yeah. So here is the second page because I look at your first two pages and it says here your current budget for this year 2025 is 1.1.
That's right, Your Honor.
Yes.
Because we need 300 million to further digitalize around 9 stations.
But what was
That's by
given
law. But what was given is
It's
only
only-
128 million.
it's 136 here.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
136. 136 we follow what is
From
stated here.
NEB, sir. That's right, sir. I stand
Yeah.
correct.
IBC 136.
Yes, sir. I stand
So
corrected.
you lost
sir.
963 million from this year's budget. Where's that?
Your Honor, our budget request is 1.5 billion.
Yes.
That includes personnel, MOE, CAPEX for digitalization, reorganization, balance. As I've said earlier, Your Honors, we have a program which was approved in previous administration, in previous years, the two-tier retirement program. We were given only one half of what we needed, which will be paid to this year, and the other half for next year. This will eliminate totally and save us 89 million a year. Kasi covered kami ng CBA. Pag nawala na yung CBA, nawala na yung existing corporation at talagang government na, we will be needing less next year. On 2027.
President and CEO Jimmy, so what would you want our committee to restore in your proposal, which were removed by the NEP?
Your Honor, we need around 1.1 billion more. From the
That's
President.
too much. We have a problem. At 1 billion, we don't talk billions here
Your Honor,
because we don't have that kind of money. So,
Your Honor,
yung basic talaga, like we're saying, mga 400 dun sa kwan. So, let's be realistic. Kung na yung 1 billion, Jimmy, di talaga papasayan kay Speaker.
Your
Tsaka sa
Honor, we
chairman.
need at
So,
least
yung ano lang, how
900.
much? Yung
We need
medyo
at-
basic lang talaga.
Basic, Your Honor, we need 47 million for MOE operation,
Okay, 47 plus
300 million to continue with digitalization. That's
347.
dictated by
What
law.
else?
And then organization balance of 428 million.
Only the the first two.
That's
The first two. Why don't you submit the first two? 47 and 200, was it? Or 300?
Sir, we are obligated by law to pay the retirement. Because
There's
nagbayad
so
na
many
tayo ng 1/2.
obligations that we cannot really pay. So we just start
We
with
will
that.
give you the options, Your Honor.
So
We will-
please
we will
submit to us the first two that you have mentioned.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Madam Chair, because the bell has rung, I will therefore finish my interpellation.
Go ahead,
I'm
sir.
supposed to be the last, right?
There is one more, Your
One
Honor.
more. So anyway, we will therefore yield to the last interpellator. Thank you for the time, Madam Chair. Thank you very much.
So before the committee starts with the last interpellator, the agency is requested therefore to submit to the committee all the lists and documents requested by the Honorable Rufus Rodriguez. The priority items
It
as
will be a
specified
pleasure,
by-
Madam Chair.
Okay. For the second round and the last interpellator, The chair recognizes Representative Tony Boy Roman for the last interpellation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wish to turn to the General Manager of People's Television Network because you've been quiet. Um, but I'm just trying to understand the relationship between People's Television Network and IBC. I understand at one point Congress TV was under People's Television Network. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And
That is
if
correct.
and Madam Chair, since it was under the People's Television Network, I would assume that there was a budget. You had a budget for Congress TV. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That is
Um,
correct.
Will you confirm that in 2024 you had a budget of about 175 million pesos for Congress TV?
Your Honor, I am basically new. I was just appointed last July 31. So before me, and I think there were about five GMs before me. So I'm not really aware of that. So I would just like you to refer you to our finance OIC.
Sure.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The committee suspends the proceeding. Committee resumes.
Good evening, Your Honor. Okay, so in 2020,
Madam Chair, before she proceeds, can you please state your name and title for the record?
yes, I am Monette Mingos, Officer in Charge of the Finance Division of PTNI.
Okay.
So for our 2024 budget, we were given 179 million additional subsidy in 2024. And this was intended for, the breakdown of this was 75 million for the Congress TV production program and 101 for capital outlay. So that was what was given to PTNI.
The 75 million for Congress TV, I would part of it was expended.
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
And
Yes.
what happened to the balance? Was it turned over to IBC?
No, Your Honor. The balance is still with PTNI, and since the transfer of the Congress TV program to the other network, we were advised to seek first the proper authorities as to how to address or how to utilize the remaining budget. So it's still with us.
Madam Chair, I'm just trying to understand. If that budget was allocated for Congress TV and Congress TV has since been transferred to IBC, why wouldn't you give the budget to IBC?
It was given to us as a subsidy, and it was provided as a form of MOOE to us. There was no, at the start, it was not specified that it was to be devoted to a certain, like for Congress TV. So that's the gray area from our part. It's a gray area because when PTNI receives subsidy from the government, it is usually devoted to our operating expenses, and we do not return any amount from it. So this is the first time that we are having this kind of subsidy wherein we have to provide for a certain project from the Congress. That's why we still are we still need clarification as to are we supposed to return it or are we supposed to utilize the balance.
Madam Chair, who would clarify and address that issue?
Right now, we have asked the DBM, but the DBM has advised us to seek clarification from Congress.
Clarification from us concerning that.
Specifically from the one who provided us, from the former chairman of the Committee on Appropriations. So we're actually in that direction. We're trying to find out.
And you have reached out to the Committee on Appropriations to get that clarification?
Not really yet, not formally yet. So
When are you planning to, formally request clarification?
we will do it right away, sir, now that it has been raised on the table. We will do our best to
And,
address.
and Madam Chair, to President Jimmy Policarpio, do you want that fund from People's Television Network?
Let me explain, Your Honor. When I was called by the office of the Speaker to handle Congress TV, we immediately started October 1 of last year, in spite of the absence of a formal budget for that purpose. Because we believe in assuming the responsibility of what should be diversified or be spread to all people, what Congress was doing. I think at that time kasi medyo nag-ano-ano kasi marami mga negative eh. Kaya sabi ko sa staff ko, no, we'll start immediately. We started October 1.
But President Jimmy, you want the funds from People's Television Network, correct?
With the indulgence of the committee, Your Honor, I will not oppose.
My next question to Madam Chair, my next question to People's Television Network. There was also, as part of the budget for Congress TV, an allocation for digital trial television, DTT, in Legazpi City. There was an allocation of 50 million pesos. Do you confirm that? In 2024?
In 2024, sir, the amount that was given to us for a total of 179 additional was nearly broken down. Yes, a part of that was intended for this
DTT.
regional. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And it was for 50 million pesos.
It was actually 50 billion. Yes.
Was that eventually acquired or purchased?
There were setbacks in the bidding process, and may I turn over for a more appropriate answer to our back
Madam
or
Chair?
to our PMO who is with us right now.
Okay.
The committee recognizes the back officer. Please state your, and the PMO, please state your name and designation, sir.
Yes, good evening po. I'm Darius de la Cruz, overseer of Project Management Office of PTV4. So it's regards to DTT Legazpi project, last 2024, 25, nagkaroon po na kami ng failure of bidding. Then we study again the mandatory review for the project. And as of now, we are on the So ngayon po nasa kami na sa pre-procurement process ng project ng Legazpi. So hopefully before end of this year, the project will award to the participating bidder, sir.
So the 50 million pesos is still intact?
Yes, sir.
Is that 50 million, the DTT, was that meant for Congress TV?
If I may, sir, we were informed that of the 50 millions was yes for Congress TV, sir. And to clarify also, the Legazpi project is only around 20 million. There are other projects also allowed under the 50 million.
But
total.
all the DTTs were for Congress TV.
We were made to understand.
So the Ilocos DTTs, the Legazpi DTTs were for Congress TV.
Yes, Your Honor.
So assuming that there's a successful bid, you would turn over the DTTs to Congress TV.
We cannot, from my end, I cannot properly reply, but maybe our GM.
Why is it that you can't reply or you can't explain?
Sige.
Actually, this is a first, this kind of an agreement is a first for PTNI, wherein we are given funding and then we will be devoting it to Congress. So we are just new in this kind of undertaking. So usually when we receive budget, it's intended for
Wait.
PTN.
Well, the reason, Madam Chair, I'm asking this line of question because I see the disparity in the budget asked by IBC and what was proposed. So from my point of view, IBC needs all the help it can get from the previous allocation that was intended for Congress TV. And also that would include the DTTs, which is part of the digitalization initiative. That's why I'm asking these questions. Apparently, the resource persons are unable to explain exactly who would eventually get the DTTs and who would eventually get the amount left over with the People's Television Network, and that they need to basically seek guidance from the Committee on Appropriations of Congress. So that's why I'm asking these questions. But I have nothing further, Madam Chair. But Madam Chair, I ask that you, to People's Television Network, I ask you to formalize your requests for guidance from the Committee on the Committee on Appropriations on the status of the remaining funds that was intended for Congress TV, and then also your position on the DTTs that were supposed to be given to Congress TV.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Maybe the committee requests PTV4, whatever documents or lists the Honorable Roman is requesting, can you kindly submit to the committee, because it cannot be that we cannot answer his inquiry. Ma'am.
Yes, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, but there was no clear turnover from the former GM to me, so I'm still at the loss, and I'm just still studying how the system goes with PTV4. But yes, we will submit what is needed. Thank you.
Maybe the good secretary has a comment on that, sir.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Actually, just like GM Malu, I'm also new to the role, but when I first visited and sat down with PTV to be appraised on the operations of the network, that particular issue actually, Your Honor, came up, and it was upon my prodding that I asked them to seek clarification from the Committee on Appropriations, which allocated that budget to PTV4 precisely for Congress TV that has since moved to IBC 13. And the direction really was to write a letter to the committee to seek clarification. Number one, if they can reallocate that budget for internal purposes, or number two, hand it over to IBC 13. We are at the disposal of the committee, Your Honor, and rest assured that our two attached television networks will comply with the directions from the committee. Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification, Secretary.
Madam Chair, just sort of a request as a follow-up. When the formal request for guidance from the Committee on Appropriations is submitted, can you attach all relevant documents showing how much was the allocation for the People's Television Network and all other relevant documents after that?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So on that note, Madam Chair, may I move that we terminate the budget briefing of the Presidential Communications Office, including attached agencies, and corporations. I so move, Madam Chair.
Any second?
motion.
It has been moved and seconded. The motion is carried. The budget briefing of the Presidential Communications Office, as well as its attached agencies and corporations, is hereby terminated. Thank you very much, Secretary Dave Gomez, and to the whole PCO family for the time and all of your invaluable inputs. Again, thank you for being here despite the work suspension, and thank you for staying until 8:30 in the evening. We truly appreciate your inputs, and you're in very able hands with Vice Chair Queenie Alexandria Gonzalez sponsoring your budget. So if there are any more discussions that need to happen, please feel free to do so before we head to the plenary. And if there are any requests from the part of the agency, please submit those as soon as possible. So it can be submitted for the consideration of the Budget Amendments Review Subcommittee.
Sir, congratulations.
Yes. Thank you very much,
One
Madam Chair.
final-
Thank you to the committee. It's our pleasure to be here. Thank you very much po.
Thank you
Maraming
very
salamat.
much.
Yes. One final motion, Madam Chair.
Yes,
May I
SBC
move that we
Garcia.
suspend briefing and resume on Wednesday, August 27, 2025 at 9 a.m. I so move, Madam Chair.
I second the motion.
It has been moved and seconded. The briefing is hereby suspended and will resume tomorrow, Wednesday, August 27, 2025 at 9 in the morning. Thank you to all of our House members and members of the Committee on Appropriation for being here today. Thank you very much, everyone, and see you tomorrow, 9 a.m.